Hi there, glad you could make it. This is Chuck, KK6USY for Ham Radio Adventures, and today we're going to talk about why should I do Parks on the Air or Summits on the Air. Let's check it out. Okay, so for Parks on the Air, straight out of their website, let me read you what their goal and mission is. Parks on the Air is an ongoing program. It encourages amateur operators in developing their skills, fostering community, and demonstrating the hobby to the public. Okay, pretty simple. Now for SOTA, let me read you what they have. It's an award program for radio amateurs and shortwave listeners that encourages portable operation in the mountains areas. There are awards for activators, those who ascend the mountains, and chasers who either operate from home, a local hilltop, or even activators on other summits. So this is basically what both organizations stand for, and they're both really great. In the description section below, I will leave links to both websites. So you might want to check them out for further information. I'm just going to kind of go over my feelings on why I like to do it, or why I think some other people like to do Parks on the Air or Summits on the Air. So by participating in POTA, Parks on the Air, or SOTA, Summits on the Air, radio amateurs learn to do a good job of honing their skills, setting up portable operations in a timely fashion. This is really helpful for any kind of operations later on on anything you do, for setting up even your home systems. You learn ways of doing it faster, and you learn ways of just doing it easier. In order to activate a Parks on the Air POTA, you need to be in a designated park, or sometimes it's a forest, U.S. forest, and you need to get your required 10 contacts. Now, you need 10 contacts to actually make a legitimate activation. You can do that by calling CQ, which most people do most of the time, or you can actually, if you're missing one or two, you can actually go out and hunt yourself for other ones, and there's always other Parks on the Air people out there that you can make park-to-park contacts with. So what drew me to Parks on the Air and Summits on the Air both is the amazing places you get to go and amazing things you get to see while you're out there. And plus, you get a little bit of exercise sometimes also. So, you know, if seeing places and learning about new places is something you want to do, you might try Parks on the Air or Summits on the Air. You can do both. Both of them have drive-ups. SOTAs for Summits on the Air are more limited to drive-up sites, so you're most likely going to have to hike a mile or two, but there are some drive-ups. Now, for Parks on the Air, POTA, you actually have parks that you can just go up to a park bench and do your activation, or you can actually do like some do and hike into the park a ways and do your activation more in a more secluded area. I've had the opportunity to share these outings for both POTA and for SOTA with a bunch of friends that enjoy amateur radio also. One of the first ones I did, my first SOTA actually, was Mount Pacifico with the HRCC group. Josh led that and set it all up, and it was a great thing, and I made long life friends from this whole thing. And Javi and I, we get together, since we both live in California, we get together 3 to 4 times a year and do SOTAs together. And it's a lot of great fun, and it's always a lot more fun if you can share that experience with somebody else. And I like to do that with Javi. He's a great guy and a great operator. Now, last summer I got together with a bunch of YouTubers. I think there were 6 or 7 other YouTubers, and we went to the Yosemite Valley. Now, this is the first time I've actually been to the Yosemite Valley to actually stay and look around. And we did multiple Parks on the Air and Summits on the Airs while we were there. And we did summit to summit with our own group because we split up at times. And one of the other things I got to do while I was there, which has been on my bucket list for a long time, is Bodie State Park, or the Ghost Town, the Bodie the Ghost Town. And what a beautiful place. Reminds you of the old, I think they were mining there and stuff like that. It was just a great experience, and we actually did a Parks on the Air while we were there also, and made a bunch of contacts. Now let's talk about vacations. Last summer I did a chance to go to Hawaii. I brought my radios with me, well, a radio with me, and I did a Parks on the Air, and I tried to do a Summits on the Air also. That fell through. I usually try to set aside like one afternoon or one morning or morning afternoon to go and do at least one Parks on the Air or Summits on the Air. If you like doing Parks on the Air or Summits on the Air for the exercise, for the great views, the amazing sights, just get out and do it. You'll have fun, and your skills will improve, not only setting up your stations, but also for making contacts with pilots. Sometimes when you just call CQ, people don't really answer you, but when you tack on POTA and SOTA or Summits on the Air and Parks on the Air, people tend to actually respond to you more often. So the gear you might need, you don't really need anything fancy. Any radio that you have will work. The lighter the better. If you're doing Parks on the Air, on Parks on the Air, I take my 991A most of the time. Gives me 100 watts and a nice screen. But I also have taken my KX2. I've got a old FT857, which is a favorite of mine. If you want to take 100 watts on a SOTA, it's not too heavy, and the battery is a little bit smaller that I take for that also. So some of my favorite antennas would be a simple dipole. Simple dipole gets you probably on the air better than most antennas you can take with you portable, and they're light and easy to set up. If you do a fan dipole, you can set up both. Say you do 20 and 40, you can use all four elements for your guy lines, and a lot of times I don't have to guy my pole. I usually have a stake that goes into it. You might check out a couple of my videos. I'll try to put those in the description below also. Another great antenna is the InFed half-wave. One of the easiest antennas to set up because you only have to put one end up, and usually you do it as a sloper. And as a sloper, you have it usually pretty close to your radio, so you don't need a lot of feed line. 10 to 20 feet, something like that, 25 feet, is plenty of coax. Now, one of my most favorite antennas for doing Summits on the Air, and the one I used on Mount Pacifico, and most of the other guys finished their activation with it, is a doublet antenna, sometimes called a speaker wire antenna. I didn't use speaker wire for mine. I used nice silicone wire. But what it does is I cut mine for 40 to 6, basically. And I can actually tune up on 80 also, because the Elecraft has a very, very capable 10-to-1 antenna tuner built in, and it doesn't weigh much. My whole set for that weighs like 2 pounds. Another favorite antenna for mine, and this is if I don't want to do 40. In California, 20 is my best band, and on 20, all I need is a stake with a mirror mount, like for CB radio antennas, and a 17-foot whip that's extendable, usually made out of stainless steel. The ones I have two, and they're both made out of stainless steel. That gets you anywhere from 20 to 6. So all you do is adjust the height, put out your radios, and then you go. It takes me like 5 minutes at the most to set this antenna up. So if I'm in a hurry, guess what antenna I'm going to use? Okay, so to power your radios, you're going to need some type of power supply. Some parks I've never been to one, but I've seen other activators use them. They actually get to use power, like a regular power supply from your home or your shack. But most of us rely on batteries. Now, lithium batteries are the choice to keep it light, but you can use any type of 12-volt battery that you want. Now, you need to gauge your battery size by the amount of power that your radio puts out. A KX2 or 705, they only put out 10 to 12 watts, and you don't need a very big battery for it. And they both have onboard batteries. The KX2, you can actually get your 10 watts out with the onboard battery for a while. And the 705, you only get 5 watts out. But if you add a Bioenno, say 4 amp hour battery, now you get your full 10. Now for my 857, a lot of times I'll carry a 9 amp hour battery. It's pretty light, it's a Bioenno, and it does a good job and has plenty of power and will do a full activation for me with no problem. Now for my, when I take my 991 and I do a Parks on the Air at a park that I don't have to do a lot of walking or hiking, I just take my 991A and I have a 30 amp hour battery in a box, and it works really good, and I never worry about running out of power, even if I didn't charge it from the last time out. That happens sometimes. You can use a tree to hang your wire antennas, but I prefer, because some places you have to watch out. They don't want you to put stuff into the trees, so you have to kind of ask, and it's great to ask first. That way they know you're trying to be responsible. But I usually take a fiberglass push-up pole. I have a 10 meter and a 12 meters, and then I have some smaller ones also if I'm doing SOTA stuff. I take those on the SOTAs because they're lightweight. So, and like I said, I have a stake that I put in most of mine, which holds the bottom nice and firm, And then a lot of times if I'm just putting out a dipole or my doublet, that's all I use. Hopefully the wind is going in the direction I want to set it up, and it doesn't really matter when you're doing a inverted V anyhow. Okay, if you made it to this part of the video, I want to thank you very much for being here. If you're new to the channel, you might think about subscribing and hitting that bell to get all my future videos. I do a lot of videos on making antennas and saving amateur radio operators a lot of money, hopefully. You can save a lot of money by making your own antennas and stuff, but there's nothing wrong with buying one if that's what you want to do. So 73 all, hope to see you on the airways, and be safe. This is Chuck, KK6USY for Ham Radio Avengers.